welcome everybody to another Timely 10 episode of Burn Your Boats. I am your solo host today, Clark Lunt, and I'm excited to bring this kind of quick episode to you. I started thinking about it, and I actually went into my entrepreneurial journey officially in January of 2015. So it has been 10 years, a full decade that I have been out on my own, signing my own paychecks, or lack thereof, depending on how well the day or the month or the year was going. And so I started to kind of decompress a little bit. And I'm like, God, I've taken away so many lessons from being my own boss over the last 10 years. And there've been a lot of good lessons. There's some things that I thought that it was going to be a certain way, and it absolutely wasn't. So what I wanted to do today is just give you a quick 10 things that I've taken away from the last 10 years of being my own boss. I have not received a paycheck from a W-2 company since the end of 2014. Even when I was at my W-2, I was on commission-only sales starting in 2008. So I haven't actually received a paycheck that wasn't directly related to a sale that I had made since probably 2007. So when I graduated from college in 2005. So I only had about a year or so where I did like a salary type position. You can kind of say a little bit that the commission-only sales kind of prepares you for entrepreneurship and business ownership, because you have to eat what you kill. So with that being said, I'm going to hop right into them, everybody. So, and these are in no order, right? These are just 10 things that kind of popped in my head, and hopefully you'll enjoy this if you're thinking about, making the plunge into entrepreneurship, starting your own business, buying a franchise, whatever that may be. These are some things that I've encountered over the last 10 years that popped into my head, so I'm going to get started. The number one thing is a personal savings account. I have not put money in a personal savings account maybe in a decade. Every time that I make money in my business, it stays in my business account, and then I pay myself from it, whatever I need, right? And then whatever's left over just sits in that account, because I'm constantly wanting to reinvest either back into the company, or I'm wanting to invest in more real estate, or whatever that looks like, but it doesn't go sit in a personal savings account. So there's probably $1,000 sitting in a personal savings account somewhere that I haven't touched in years. That is something that was a big change for me, because I was constantly putting money in a personal savings when I was in my W-2, and that W-2, that personal savings account probably hasn't had any deposits in possibly a decade. That was a shift that I noticed very, very quickly. The next thing is that I've never felt more financially stable, more financially secure from the years of 2008 to 2015 when I had my W-2 job. I felt way more financially comfortable, more financially secure when I was making like 100 grand a year, 120 grand a year in my W-2 job. And albeit I've made a lot more money in the following years running my own business, it's always going to be more of a roller coaster, right? Because you have investments, you have a lot more bills, you have employees. So in terms of when I was at my W-2 job, all I had to do was just support myself. I didn't have employees. I didn't have big debt payments or anything like that. So ironically, even though I've made a lot more money, in my heart, and when I laid down at night, I've never felt more financially comfortable is when I actually had my W-2 job. So that's something I had to adjust to pretty quickly. Number 3, I think that it probably was a big reason why I was married, and now I'm talking to you as a non-married person. So my ex-wife and I owned a real estate investment company together. We also owned an insurance agency together, a property and casualty insurance company. I can't tell you the exact reason why it didn't work out, but I'm sure owning two businesses together where she was in the entrepreneur role just like me, I guess it didn't work out. Proof's in the pudding, right? So we filed our papers right around the time of COVID hitting. I have a feeling that the stress, the visions that were slightly different probably played a sizable role in why we didn't work out. We could probably spend a lot of episodes on that, but I don't want to bore you all with that. The marriage didn't work out, and I think that being an entrepreneur and owning businesses together was a big piece of it, unfortunately. Another takeaway, number 4, I've found that I love working with partners. Even when things don't go well, being able to sit down, digest it. David and I have talked about this a lot. Being able to digest the problem, what happened, and have someone to throw ideas back and forth is a really, really good experience, right? Because when things are going great, it's great to be able to, enjoy the triumphs together and enjoy the money that you're making from it. but also when things are going bad and you're at the bottom of the roller coaster, you're at the bottom of the mountain, being able to kind of pick each other up is really, really valuable. It really is. And I've had different partnerships. I don't know how many I've had, but maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 partnerships. Some are longer and bigger, like David and I's partnership, but I've had ones where maybe I've bought 2 or 3 houses with a different partner, and those have been valuable to me as well. I just have loved working with partners because it gives me a sense of community. It gives it kind of a sounding board. It's a bit of a therapy, laying on the couch type situation that I've enjoyed. The next one, being an entrepreneur, it has forced me into rooms with other great entrepreneurs that I never would have met if I was in my W-2 job. So what do I mean by that is that it's when you go into a room and you say, I work for company XYZ, there's always going to be an immediate assumption of like, are you really, as an employee of a company, are you going to go out and represent that company like it's your own? Probably not, right? It's just like a tenant moving into your house. Are they gonna live in that house and understand it like it's their own? Maybe, but the chances are they probably won't, right? Well, I think it's no different in business, right? So when you come across someone that has been in an entrepreneur role, they own a company, they bought a business, whatever it is, the conversations that you have are just different. I don't care if I run an investment real estate company and I'm talking to someone that owns laundromats. We face a lot of the same challenges, even though the widget that we trade is completely different, right? So we're able to connect on a higher level, and we probably have other connections that we can help bridge the gap to make recommendations or make introductions or things like that. So you're having different conversations because you own the thing, right? You are a risk taker. I know that someone that runs laundromats for a living, have taken the risk. They have taken on employees. They have HR issues. They have inventory issues. And guess what? That's all businesses, right? So it's really led to some incredible connections and in some incredible conversations that I value very highly. And number 6, investing. A lot of times as a real estate investor, they say, well, what do you invest in? What are the best investments you can make? Probably the best investment you can make is in your own team, right? In things like that. So investing in your team and making sure that they feel comfortable working underneath you, that they feel valued, that they feel like you care, you give a shit about their lives and they're not just a name on a spreadsheet is such a big deal. And to invest in your team is something that I've learned along the way. And your team can feel if you're not involved or you're not interested in their lives other than just them giving you something, it's probably not going to be a good fit. The next thing I learned is that it's been challenging for me. I'm really not a great leader. I'm not a great manager of people. And that's always been a challenge because I have all this knowledge in my head, right? I have all this experience. And sometimes I'm not very good at getting the experience out of my head and into my team, right? And that's due to me not being a great systems and process type person. And so that's been a big challenge of mine all along. And the proof's in the pudding. I've never been able to have a company, a team that has like multiple layers. It's always been like me as the owner and maybe a partner, and then a direct level directly beneath me of admin or salespeople or whatever that is. But that's as far as I've ever had in a company go. I've never been able to build like a third tier where I get to kind of like a CEO level and then have managers that basically report to me. I've yet to be able to achieve that yet. And that's just, it's humble to say that, but it's the truth. And I'm working on it, trying to talk to people a lot smarter than me that are able to build businesses better. But I'm sure a lot of people understand that a lot of companies just make it to kind of like an employee and then a manager / owner as the role. It's hard because you're always involved in every single decision. You're involved in even the smallest little things. And so that's something that I've been trying to fix for really a long time. Number 8, I definitely have learned that without systems and processes that are written down and actually enforced with KPIs and things like that, you have the equivalent of like a 4-year-old's birthday party, right? The 4-year-old's birthday parties are fun, but once it's over, it was chaotic. You probably feel hungover whether you even had a cocktail or not. And I think that is kind of the equivalent in business, is that if you don't have really structured systems and processes, you can only go so far. You can only scale so far because every day is different, right? And in all reality, there's a reason why corporate, you hear the very rigid corporate structure. Well, there's a reason why they're probably like a $500 million company and you're a $500,000 company, right? And a big part of that is systems and processes. Number 9, especially in the early years after I left my W-2 job, I probably made less money and worked more hours. So a lot of times people think, oh, I want to get into owning my own company, being an entrepreneur, starting it. I'm going to make more money and I'm not going to have to work as much. Wrong. You're going to probably work longer hours, get paid less. You eat last, right? So if you have employees, they get paid first, you eat last. And so just be prepared to be able to work a lot harder. Weekends, the market doesn't care. Like you bringing in sales and processing those sales, they don't give a crap if you don't want to work on a Saturday, because your competitors are out there working hard. And so unfortunately, there's going to be some leaner years probably. Just like I said, I've never felt more financially comfortable when I was in my W-2 job. And then once I left my W-2 job, it took me probably until my second year before I even made the same amount of money that I did for my W-2. And I worked way longer, way harder, took way more risks, things of that nature. And the last thing, to kind of end on a positive note, I wouldn't change this for the freaking world. Like there's certainly single days where I look back and I'm like, God, what I wouldn't give to just go back to my W-2 where I'm just responsible for my own sales and my sales journey. And it doesn't matter how the other salespeople do or how the processing team does or anything like that. I would not change it for the world though. Financially, my net worth is probably 3 or 4x more just because I've kind of run my own show and own my own business. It's put me in better opportunities to make new connections, to grow revenue, okay? And also too, I do have a more flexible schedule, right? You kind of hear that as like a cliche, oh, your own boss, so you can just go sit on the beach all day. And that's not how it is, but I do have a more flexible schedule, albeit that a lot of times if I am on vacation, I still have to be pretty close to that laptop. I would never go on vacation without bringing my laptop. I'm sure a lot of people hear that and it makes them cringe, but it's just part of the deal, right? So anyways, 10 years, a decade that I have been, happy decade out of the W-2 world for Clark. And I figured I'd just list these 10 things that I've really taken away. So hopefully that these have helped you a little bit to understand that maybe there's some things that you think it's going to be like, and maybe it's not. And then there are some things that are probably how you think it's going to be. It's freaking hard. There's not a lot of people patting you on the back. There's not a lot of people. It's not like you're at the end of a marathon where everyone's cheering you on to get to the finish line. It's not like that, right? It's kind of like running at night where no one's out there cheering you on, and you just got to keep going and keep pushing through. But it will be all worth it. I promise you that. And you'll surround yourself with really, really great people. You'll put yourselves in rooms to be able to get access to opportunities that you just can't get if you are a W-2, i.e. if you are a tenant living in a property. You're just never going to care as much. You're never going to give a shit enough about that property as if the owner was, right? So I think it's a good analogy to use that. Do you want to be the owner of the property or do you want to be the tenant of the property and help pay off someone else's mortgage payment? It's no different in business. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope that you took away something from this. This is a big deal. I've been doing it now 10 years off the corporate, the W-2 teat, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Thanks, everyone. Well, that is a wrap for today, folks. We hope that this episode shed some light on the complexities of the real estate market and kind of really gave you some actionable insights. Because remember, you navigate the world of property investment, it requires more than just luck. You're going to need strategy, you're going to need knowledge, and of course, you're going to need a little dash of courage. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review on any of the podcast platforms that you listen to and YouTube as well. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Burn Your Boats Wealth. And leave comments, talk to us about things that you want us to talk about or things you disagree with us on. We appreciate all that type of insight. Your support really fuels our fire to bring you even more valuable content. So we appreciate you, we appreciate the support, and we will see you next time.
You've been listening to the Burn Your Boats Wealth podcast with Clark Lunt and David Shaw. We would love to hear from you. Please reach out at contact@burnyourboatswealth.com with comments, questions, and if you have a topic you would like Clark and David to discuss on an upcoming episode. We would very much appreciate it if you took the time to rate and review Burn Your Boats on your favorite podcast listening app, and make sure to follow and share on social media. Content in Burn Your Boats Wealth podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not legal or financial advice. Please review our legal disclaimer at burnyourboatswealth.com. Thank you and have a great day.